before, and today we're going to do a little bit of yoga to help open up the shoulders. This is really nice for anyone who is sitting a lot, kind of hunched over in a chair, which is most of us these days, or anybody who just feels like they could really use some mobility up in the shoulders. So we'll start seated, and for props, I don't have anything planned for props. If you have a block at home or two, you can use them. If you have a blanket, that's great, but I won't use them in practice just because we don't all have blocks at home. So again, we'll start seated, so you can come to any kind of cross-legged position that feels comfortable for you. You can come into savasana, just easy seated cross-legged pose. You can kind of stagger the feet in front of one another. You can also come to the knees if that's more comfortable. And I would recommend a blanket or something to prop up under excuse me, the seat. So find your seat, take the palms to the knees of the thighs, let the eyes close. And we'll just start with a few breaths here. Just getting grounded in the moment, feeling connected to the earth, to the floor, feeling heavy in the legs. And then just start to notice your breath. See if you can let that breath really expand up through the belly, but also into the chest and the lungs. So there's no effort here. We're not trying to intentionally open up the chest. We're just noticing how the breath can fill up the spaces of the chest, following the breath with the mind's eye. Perhaps at this point, after a few breaths, you notice the chest feeling a little lighter, a little more open, and perhaps the shoulders are softening down a little. From your seat, take the palms together. Front of the chest, press the base of the thumbs into the breastbone and sit just a little bit taller. Drop the shoulders gently down. And then take a nice full inhale. Fill up the belly and the lungs with intention. And open the mouth, sigh the breath out. And then let go of any holding in the breath, so return to your natural, easy breath. Let the palms drop down to the knees of the thighs. Let the eyes blink open. And at this point, if you don't have one already, I would recommend having like a blanket or something under the seat. I'm just going to switch the cross of my legs. From our seated position, we'll take an inhale, send the arms up overhead. And on the exhale, you're going to send your left hand down. I'm mirroring you here, so it's the opposite for me. We're going to sit on the palm. So back of the hand comes to the floor, and you're going to wedge the fingers and the palm underneath your left glute or your left hip. On your inhale, reach up through the right arm. And on your exhale, grab hold of the left side of the face. And I want you to just give yourself a little tug off to the right. I washed my hands before I did this, I promise. And so what we're feeling here is feeling heavy in the left hip, really grounding down, letting that hip press into the palm, feeling the back of the hand press into the floor, but then gently tugging the head in the opposite direction to feel the entire left side of the neck stretching. Take one more breath here. Stay for the exhale. At the base of the exhale, release that hold on the side of the head. You can release that right hand down to the floor. Release the left hand out. Maybe shake it out. And then we'll inhale both arms up just to lengthen the arms. And your Right hand is going to come under your seat. Same thing, back of the hand comes to the floor. Fingers are wedged underneath the hip. Then you're going to reach over the head with that left arm. Grab hold of the right side of the face and just tug yourself off to the left. So moving in the opposite direction as that hip. Again, ground down through your right hip. Gently tug the face. We're not really wrenching the head here. We're just kind of feeling the skin lengthen. Breathing into that entire right side of the neck. Take one more breath in. One more breath out. And then gently release that clasp. You can release that right hand from underneath the hip. If you want to roll the shoulders, maybe take the palms to the knees and just roll a little forward. Roll a little bit back. You can roll the neck. And then from here, we're going to come to our tabletop shape. So finding yourself with the wrists under the shoulders, the knees under the hips. And again, if you ever have any sensitivity in the knees here, a blanket is really helpful, or you can also just fold over the mat and get a little extra cushion. From your tabletop, on an inhale, send the hips back, drop the belly down, the chest comes forward. And on your exhale, pull the belly into the spine, tuck the chin into the chest, round the back. Inhaling to arch. Exhaling to round, moving nice and gentle. Since it's the first time we're probably doing this for the day. Inhale to arch. Exhale to round. We'll take 2 more rounds like this, and you might choose to get a little rotation in the hips, a little rocking side to side, maybe some rolling in the neck. And you're just following your own breath. At the base of your last exhale, find that neutral spine, your flat back. Lock the hands forward, but keep the hips lifted for puppy pose. Sending the hips up and back gently, just expanding the energy back. Inhaling to lengthen the spine. On your exhale, soften forehead down. Take one more breath here. Stay for that exhale. At the base of the exhale, just walk the hands back under the shoulders, finding your tabletop shape. And then take the big toes together, separate the knees wide, sink the hips down and back for child's pose. And in this child's pose, we're really allowing the low back to feel nice and long here. So letting the low back kind of feel heavy and lengthened back behind you. For most of us, the hips won't come down to the heels. We might be this high this morning, almost kind of feeling like a different version of puppy pose, and that's okay. Just focus on feeling heavy in the hips. We're going to take 2 more breaths here. One more breath in. One more breath out. At the base of that exhale, hands come under the shoulders, reset the knees and the feet. So finding ourselves back in tabletop, maybe you take a round of cat-cow just to kind of get some motion back into the spine. And then we're going to move the hands a couple inches forward and tuck the toes, sending the hips back for our first downward facing dog of class. Now, your first downward dog is always going to feel, in my experience, a little bit kind of stiffer and tighter than maybe later in class. So it helps to give yourself more space between the feet. So think a wider stance, maybe even as wide as the mat. And you can also walk the feet a little bit closer to the hands. So if this is your downward facing dog, if you're looking at the screen, perhaps you step a little bit wider, you take a little bit of a bend in the knees, you might even walk the feet closer just to give yourself some space in the hamstrings. And then from your downward dog, start to pedal the feet. So lift one heel And then the other, really bending into whatever knee is on the same leg as that heel that's being lifted. Press into the palms. And then relax the heels down. They probably won't come to the floor for most of us, and again, that's fine. There's no rule that says the heels have to come down, especially at the start of our practice. You can nod the head yes, shake the head no, just to release any tension in the neck. Then we'll take a slight bend in the knees here. Step the feet super wide as the mat, a little bit closer to the hands. So if you're already here, just stay where you are. Take an inhale here. Then your exhale, you're going to sweep your right hand underneath the body and grab hold of the outside of your left calf, outside of your left ankle, maybe outside of the left foot. Press into your left palm, and maybe you bring the gaze under your left armpit. For extra help here in the twist, you can bend into your right knee a little bit more. Take a full breath in. On the exhale, release that right hand back to this wide downward dog. Take an inhale in between sides. And on your exhale, left hand comes underneath and across the body. Grab hold of the outside of your right calf, outside of your right ankle, maybe even outside your right foot. Bring the gaze underneath your right armpit. You can bend into this left knee a little bit. One more breath in. And on the exhale, release. Step the feet back to your more regular downward facing dog. Take an inhale. And on the exhale, bring the gaze forward to the hands and bend into the knees. We're just going to walk the feet out to meet the hands. Moving nice and slowly here, as many steps as we need, coming to the top of the mat. Take an inhale. Hands come to the shins. We'll lift the spine halfway. And on the exhale, bend into the knees and fold forward. You may choose to rock a little from side to side here. Hands can come to the floor. They can come to blocks if you have them. You can also grab the elbows. So grabbing the opposite elbow with the opposite hand, rocking a little side to side. Take one more inhale. Then on the exhale, release the hands down to the floor. Toe heel the feet together. Press down into the feet and slowly start to curl yourself up to stand. When you get about halfway there, the shoulders get about as high as the hips. Take an inhale and begin to send the arms up overhead. And then the exhale, you'll find mountain pose or Tadasana at the top of the mat. So the feet are close together, toes might be touching, heels are a little bit wider than the toes. Hands are at the sides. Take an inhale, reach the arms up. And on the exhale, fold forward. Now you always have the option to bend the knees here. Lift halfway on your inhale. Hands can come to the shins to help with this. On the exhale, bend the knees. Take the hands to the floor. We're going to step one foot then the other back. We're coming into plank pose, or you can tap the knees down. So plank, the spine is nice and long, the core is engaged. For knees down, we're just pressing the palms into the floor, but keeping the chest lifted. Take an inhale wherever you are, and on your exhale, come all the way down to the belly. I'm going to turn myself so you can see this from a kind of front point of view. You're going to take the hands wide, wider than the mat. Point the elbows up towards the ceiling. The fingers are just about in line with the shoulders. On an inhale, squeeze the shoulder blades together and press into the fingers to lift the chest for a wide cobra. And on the exhale, come all the way back down to the belly, but keep the hands where they are. Press into the fingers, inhale, come up to that wide cobra. This time on your exhale, tap your right shoulder down. And inhale, come back up to center. On your exhale, tap your left shoulder down. Inhale back to center. Pause. Notice if the shoulders are creeping into the ears. Can you squeeze the shoulder blades together to pull them down? Take a breath. And exhale, come all the way down to the belly. Hands come on either side of the chest. Tap the toes. Press back to downward facing dog. And I'll meet you there. dog. Take a full breath in. Full breath out. And you'll inhale to send your right leg up and back for three-legged dog. On the exhale, pull this right knee into the chest, bring the gaze forward and step this right foot in between the hands. Now, if it doesn't get there on the first try, you can just take a couple of little nudges with that foot, tap the back knee down. Your right heel is under your right knee, press into the ground with the legs. Inhale the arms up overhead for a low lunge. Stay for that exhale. Now inhale, reach the arms up higher. On the exhale, you're going to pull the elbows down and back for cactus arms, like you're trying to squeeze the elbows in towards the spine. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, elbows come down and back. One more time, inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, elbows come down and back. Now inhale, reach the fingers up. And on the exhale, release the hands down to frame this foot. Tuck these back toes. Lift this back knee. Bend into the knees a little bit, and you're going to step this left foot forward. Take an inhale, lift halfway, and fold on your exhale. Press into the feet. Slowly round up to stand. Inhaling to send the arms up, and watch the palms touch overhead. Exhale for Tadasana or mountain pose at the top of the mat. We'll do that same thing again on the second side. So inhale, reach the arms up, following your breath. Fold on your exhale. Inhale to lift halfway, and on your exhale, bend the knees, hands come to the floor. Step one foot, then the other back. If you can remember to do it in the opposite sequence, so opposite foot first, that's great. Otherwise, that's fine. Plank pose or knees down. Wherever you are, press into the palms. Inhale, broaden the chest. And on your exhale, come all the way down to the floor. Hands come wide. Same thing here. Press into the fingertips. Inhale, squeeze the shoulder blades. Press into the fingers to lift the chest for a wide cobra. And on your exhale, come all the way down, but keep everything where it is. Press into the fingers, inhale, squeeze the shoulder blades, wide cobra. This time on your exhale, tap your left shoulder first. Inhale, come up through center, and on your exhale, tap the right shoulder down. Inhale through center, pause, squeeze the shoulder blades, press into the fingers, lift the chest, and release on the exhale. Hands come on either side of the chest, tap the toes, press back, downward facing dog. Take a full breath in. Full breath out. Your next inhale sends that left leg up and back for three-legged dog. Extending out to that left leg. On the exhale, gaze comes forward. Pull the knee into the chest. Step the foot between the hands. Tap the back knee down. Inhale to reach the arms up for low lunge. And stay for the exhale. Really press into the floor with the legs here. Inhale to reach the fingers up, and on your exhale, squeeze the elbows down and back, cactus arms. Two more times on your own breath. Inhale, reach. Exhale, elbows down and back. Inhale, reach it up. Exhale, elbows down and back. Inhale, reach it up. And on the exhale, release the hands down. Frame this front foot, tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, bend the knees and step this right foot forward. Take an inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, fold. Slowly round up to stand, inhaling the arms up overhead. Exhale, mountain pose or Tadasana at the top of the mat. One more vinyasa to get us back into downward facing dog. So inhale, reach the arms up. And exhale, fold forward. Lift halfway on the inhale. Exhale, bend the knees. Take the hands to the floor, one foot then the other. Comes back, finding you in plank pose or tapping the knees down. Take an inhale and exhale. Come all the way down to the belly. Now this time, hands are on either side of the chest. The elbows point straight back. Press into the tops of the feet. Squeeze the shoulder blades and inhale for regular cobra. Any amount On the exhale, release it all down. Tuck the toes. Press back. Downward facing dog. We're going to take 3 breaths just like this. So again, you can always widen the feet a little bit. You can take a bend into the knees. Just a few breaths in your down dog. Maybe you nod the head yes or shake the head no. Just to find some release of tension in the neck. One more breath here. Stay for the exhale. At the base of the exhale, tap the knees down. Bring the big toes together, separate the knees wide, sink the hips down and back for child's pose. So at any point in your practice, your child's pose can be a place where you kind of hit pause. Use it as a place to rest and reconnect with your breath. Especially if we're feeling any tension in the wrists, any tiredness in the arms. Child's pose is a really nice place to relax for a little while. At this point, you can also come back to this practice later. This is a great way to kind of get a little bit of yoga into your day. But if you want to keep going, we're going to take 2 more breaths.